On this week's Friday Favorites, we're talking books, genres, what we like to read.
That's right.
I've always been kind of a crazy reader, loved reading.
Kind of.
Since I was a little girl.
Kind of.
And so I have a number of genres.
Incredible reader.
I have a number of genres I like to read. Pretty much any standard fiction, historical fiction, classic writers. Fantasy is one of my big ones. I read some romance, science fiction. I used to be much more into science fiction. I've gotten a little bit away from the more hardcore science fiction, more into the fantasy realm now. So in general, that's what I read. I do not read horrors or thrillers or scary mysteries or anything like that. Some favorite authors. Brandon Sanderson is one of my new favorites for fantasy. New being within the last couple years. I'm slowly working through almost all of his series and waiting on him to write newer books. Favorite romance writer is probably Nora Roberts, has been forever. And she's always writing great stuff. And then all sorts of other things. So I'm pretty varied. I also read nonfiction quite a bit as well. Though right now I'm not reading very much. Steve is a little bit more of a new reader.
Yeah, reading's hard, so I've never really read all that much. And when I did read, it was always nonfiction because I always wanted to learn something every time I read. So I'm not a natural reader. So if I'm going to go to the trouble, I'm not a natural reader. If I'm going to go to the trouble of reading, I always thought that, okay, I should get something tangible out of this, like some kind of knowledge, so I would always read nonfiction. But at night, I wanted to read more at night. And I tried the nonfiction thing at first, but at the end of the day, I don't want to read nonfiction, things I want to think about. I just want an enjoyable experience reading some story. So about a year ago, I guess, this one got me into reading fiction, and it's really all about finding the author that you connect with. He writes in a way that is enjoyable to you.
And the topic.
And the topic, yes. So I've always liked westerns in terms of movies, and I generally enjoy reading western or police, crime novels. So with the help of my father-in-law, who reads a ton, I started to read a couple different authors, and a couple authors that I just keep going back to. One is C.J. Box. He has the Joe Pickett series is what I'm reading now. He's a game warden in Wyoming. So those have caught my attention, and also John Sanford, especially the Virgil Flowers series, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, I think. I don't even know if that actually exists. Basically, Virgil Flowers is a cop in Minnesota. So I'm reading both of those novels. I like to pick, I like to read authors that are available everywhere. So authors like John Sanford, authors like Clive Cussler, which I don't read yet, but I am reading my first Clive Cussler book now. If I do like those authors, I can pick those books up at used bookstores all over the country because they're all over the place. Those authors just churn out the copy. So you can always find them available. So it's really convenient to like the popular authors. And for the most part, I read for enjoyment, and that's really it. So if I can just kind of turn my head off, which I love doing, and not really think much about what I'm doing or reading, that's what I like to do.
And it's important for Steve to be able to find things elsewhere because Steve loves reading book form. I love reading book form as well.
I like to hold something in my hand. Maybe I'm old-fashioned that way, but I do like having an actual book. I
like doing that as well, but it wouldn't be practical for the speed at which I read. Would you agree with that?
We'd have an airstream full of novels.
Full
of fantasy and romance novels.
So I have slowly shifted over. When I'm in Tucson, I will get books from the library, and I'll get books from the used bookstore, and I'll return them and everything. But while we're on the road and I have to have my stack of reading still, I've switched almost completely to my Kindle. I have an old Kindle, I think it's like 6 or 7 years older at this point, but it still works fine. And that way I can get my books from the library or free books on Amazon or buy them on Amazon if I really want to, and always have them at my fingertips so that I can have a big stack of books waiting for me at all times. I'm
a slow reader, so I don't have that problem. I'll go through one book every couple months because I only read literally maybe a chapter a night, and then I'm good. So
I think you're averaging about one a month now, because since we hit full time.
Maybe because I read most nights.
Yeah. So this was a topic requested by one of you guys, asking us our favorite books, genres, things like that. First off, we'd love to hear other suggestions given what we just said about what we like to read in the comments below. If you read the same kinds of books, have any series or author recommendations, leave them down below because we are always looking for that. And if you have a question for us about life, we're always doing our Tuesday talks, so you can always leave those in the comments below, and we will probably put them up on a future Tuesday talk.
This was Tuesday talk style, wasn't it?
This was, except it's a favorite. It's our favorite books.
Yeah, but
genres.
we're both sitting here right next to each other on the couch,
I know.
talking.
We're switching it up.
Sweet nothings into the camera.
So that's it for this week's Friday favorite. Stay tuned for next week where we will have another product, service, website, membership, idea, topic, who knows.
We'll have something.
We'll have something that is a favorite of ours that we know and love and want to share with you guys. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next week.
Hopefully so.
Bye.
Bye.